yo, check it. The hour of power. POD cast is upon your ass. Spitting on the mic is the NZ boss. And his homie DJ NZ the odds. Yeah, don't twitch, don't snitch, don't switch. Just open up your senses.
All right.
And now listen.
Yo, what's up, whānau? Welcome to episode 9 of the NZ Boss Hour of Power. Today we are very, very blessed to have 7-time Mr Olympia, the gift, Phil Heath, on our episode. Welcome, Phil.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
We also have the usual Dr. DJ Bigwig. You there, bro?
I'm here, man, but I'm not a doctor, so don't try and sue me.
You doctor like Dr. Dre, bro. So, Phil, thanks very much for taking the time to be on our podcast. We've got some special memories and we shared some good times together, and we value your friendship. So, thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
No, this is great. This is going to be super easy because normally I don't know the people who I'm being interviewed by. So this is perfect.
Awesome. How's your prep towards this year's Olympia? How are you feeling? What's going on in your life like at the moment?
At the moment, we're just getting underway. Everything is pretty good. No complaints here. Essentially just, sticking to the game plan. What Honey and I do is we go in phases. And I know some people online who compete say, oh, yeah, I'm in phase 1. It's like, no, we actually write these things out. So right now we're in phase 1, which will consist of the next 3 to 4 weeks. And, I'm doing some 2-a-days workouts, which is very, in my opinion, very old school to what I normally have done over the past few years. So with that said, I'm getting more gym time, and being, I was injured last year. So after surgery, the biggest thing was, will I be ready by January to do some training? And the answer was yes. But in order to make sure that I'm capable of doing a real prep, we wanted to get more time in the gym. So we started a prep, we started that part 2 weeks ago. And so far, so good. I'm tired as hell, but that's just because I'm working hard,
You're working harder. You got to do more in a shorter time, essentially.
Yeah, but I think I'm considerably ahead of where I've been because of just ultimately just being healthy. Anytime you go through some, any type of injury, especially the one I had, it decreases the blood supply. So therefore, you're not going to get the pumps that you want. You're not going to have the fullness that you want. And we all know I've been always the person that talks about 3D this and 3D that, but, without the right volumization, you don't have that pop. And that's where this year I'm I'm very relieved that I will have that.
You will have that. Beautiful, bro. Awesome, yeah.
Phil, your injury was abdominal, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, double hernia and intestinal strangulation problem, essentially. Anyone that wants to look it up online, it's pretty ugly. The physician who performed this procedure is world renowned. Thank goodness I was able to find him from a friend who lives in Cleveland, Ohio, and this doctor happens to be in Cleveland. So, it just, like I said, it just worked out really well that I could go see someone who is awesome at what they do and to get me back on my feet within, weeks instead of months.
Yeah, for real, man. No scarring either, is there?
No, none. So it's so funny you say that because I think because of the severity of the issue, people are expecting, something like a scar. And his name is Dr. Gershkin. And Dr. Gershkin, what he's done is perform a technique that's patented for him. He's pretty much created this technique where you can go in, do the surgery without leaving a permanent scar. And it made me laugh because I don't know if you guys seen it, but some people were actually saying that I had cosmetic plastic surgery to remove it. And I was like, then that just means that my physician did an awesome job. If you guys really think I got cosmetic surgery, plastic surgery. I would have took a couple ribs out, you know.
Got an afro in my case. I would have said, "Fuck that! Get my hair done instead."
Give me some hair. Gotta love those social media trolls, bro. Far out.
It's just
it.
funny. No, like I said, it was just funny because I thought to myself, I had this issue for quite some time, and actually, I get my blood work done throughout the year. And when I say throughout the year, usually every quarter of the year. And I usually get it even the week before the Olympia. As I was in my off season, I started looking at that blood work around 7 to 10 days out before the Olympia. And since 2014, everything's been off as far as like my, not my liver or kidney or anything like that. If anything, it's actually my AST and ALT were low. My hematocrit and hemoglobin, which normally should be high, was actually below normal. So I was like, this is not good. And then with anemia.
Far out.
And it made sense because when I did the sodium depletion, a lot of lifters understand sodium depletion, I could not get out of fucking bed. And I'm the person that, like, the minute I wake up, my feet are hitting the floor, I'm ready to go kick some ass. Like, I'm always been like that. And right when that happened, this was like 3 weeks out before the Olympia, I told Honey, I said, man, I can't get up. He was like, are you kidding me? You're joking. I was like, nah, man. So that's when we started learning about what's going on. And then we realized, like, yeah, I got a hernia. I need to get this addressed. But like I said, I mean, that was then. Right now, just that God gave me, you know, a great physician and to do it within a certain time frame where it didn't prevent me from competing or meeting fans.
Yeah, shout out to Doctor, man. Fucking high five.
Yeah, he's impressive.
Towards this year's Olympia, give you a whole new sort of, or a refreshed outlook on sort of what you've accomplished to date and where you are and where you sort of want to go moving forward?
I would say yes. I mean, long or the short of it was you start realizing, you know, when you come off the meds, it's the first surgery I've ever had, right? So I'm like, I'm sure my fiance can make that of the things I was saying, but you know, when that wore off, it's told by the doctor how bad it was and how bad it could have been. That's when I realized, yes, I have a second chance at everything. And you know, I was crushed. You know, I was like, and then I'm trying to process, like, how was I able to win these shows with this issue? You know, and how was I able to do it, you know, even this past year? And I just kept looking upstairs and I was like, God, you got something really special in me. And I'm really appreciative of the opportunity. So I'm just very blessed that I've made it this far because let's face it, if I were to never win again, I'm still tied with Schwarzenegger, which is everybody knows who that is.
That's kind of a big deal, you know, man.
Yeah, so I really was able to, like, to answer Shannon's question, I was able to seriously take it in and realize what I had accomplished and how I did it, you know, and I grew stronger emotionally because of that, I'd say. So I'm a believer in positivity, but I'm also a believer in having a good emotional intelligence. So, you know, with all that said, I just feel like, you know, there's nothing to hang my head about. I'm a champion, and I prove that I can do some things that I know the average person can't. And it just gives me more motivation to say, well, what's next, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. That was going to be my next question, was touching on the point of being tied with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But I was there when you won your first Olympia title, and now you're 7 times. You know what I mean? I'm like, shit, where's the last 7 years gone? It's gone that fast. And you're just knocking on the door of Haney and Ronnie Coleman now. So I remember from the start, you know, early conversations between you and me, you said, bro, I'm going for the record. That's where I'm at. Shit, we're nearly there.
I'm so with you when you mentioned where's the time gone. I mean, it was right before I believe I won my first one that I met you guys. So it's just time has flown by. And I would say after my 5th Mr. Olympia, Hani and I had that same exact conversation and was looking at each other like, holy shit, like we just freaking won the Olympia this many times. This is, you know what I mean? Like, what do you do? You know,
unbelievable.
So, and to be quite honest, I mean, over the past couple of years, I actually stopped going out after the Olympia. Normally I'd have, like, you know, the big party over at the nightclubs and stuff like that. And the past couple of years, I just didn't want to do it anymore because, unfortunately, you know, you win the show. Fortunately, you win, right? And afterwards, everything's a blur. You forget every conversation that you had with everybody thanking you. You remember faces, but you don't remember names because you're dehydrated. And then you have to, rush with interviews, photo shoot, and then go to a gala, and then get in a limo to go to a nightclub. And literally, of course, everybody wants to tell you congrats, which is awesome. But I didn't really, I would say, not really get to take advantage of that moment by partying with a bunch of people and forgetting everything that happened. So the past, we just ended up getting a bigger hotel suite and just having pizza and cookies and, and we get everybody's favorite, celebratory alcohol drinks and stuff. And we just have it like really close knit, very intimate, because I realized that although it is nice to celebrate with your fans and stuff like that, the people that walk the journey with you sometimes get left behind in that moment.
In the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, because after you win, I mean, someone's going to want to take a picture with you. They're going to want to talk your ear off about how you maybe changed their life or how you're motivational for them. And you don't want to be rude. And they just want to share that moment with you. So why prevent them from having it? But then you got your best friends and your family who understand. But, hey, man, it's time to put your arm around your parents. It's time to put your arm around your girl and tell you love her and hang out and not be stressed. Just kind of
just chill.
Yeah, exactly how it should be, and there's always times for going out, but I think that's just me being a 38-year-old man now, with different priorities.
Yeah, we get older and wiser smarter as we get older, bro, and you realize at the end of the day, it's that real small amount of people around you, your partner and your parents and your kids and friends that really matter. Yeah. Probably you're at now. And
you can't acknowledge them when you're, trashed, when you're, hey man, I love you, man. You don't want that. Like, so, I had my fun, but I did tell my girl, I said, we win this year and we break the record, then we will party that night. We will. That's a good reason. Yeah, that's a really good reason.
Now, breaking the record. Now, Shayna said when we first met, we discussed this, which is really true. I remember the day clearly. I remember Phil Heath saying, you know what, I just won my first, I'm like be going for 9 or 10. And we looked at each other and went, really? You are? And man, it was pretty awesome to be there and, talk to you about it. And that's really happening after all these years. But what I was going to ask you, when Phil Heath, the gift, was breaking into the scene, so was social media. That was the big new thing.
Yeah.
And you were probably the first Mr Olympia to, open up their lives to people, fans and anyone that was on social media. How did you find all that?
Correct.
And, do you think that helped or made it harder, pursuing your goals and so forth?
I think it was extremely hard, because you're trying to be your most authentic self while there's plenty of people who aren't, and you know that they're not being authentic. And I always told myself, sometimes people will, judge you harder when you're being real than if you were to paint on a face and be, I could go on and on about it, but, there was times where it was great and there was times that it was downright ugly. And you almost felt like you needed, like for me, I always felt like I needed like a team of people to control the narrative at all costs, because that's what a lot of other people were doing. And these guys were fraudulent half the time. Like they were fakes. And we've seen those people kind of come and go, But I think that the ability for someone to go online and say whatever they want, kind of like those chat rooms, the forums and stuff, this just took it to a whole nother level. And I guess the problem I had or continually have is I'm probably the easiest going champion you'll ever run into. And am I the guy that'll call himself the dream killer and talk a little shit? Absolutely. But that has nothing to do with the fan. That is not. I'm not competing against them.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, hell, you got Kobe Bryant, who's the Black Mamba. I mean, come on, like we all have our alter ego, and it's necessary. But I guess my biggest disappointment is the social media has disabled, not in like people to actually ask real questions from their idols, or you don't have to idolize me, but obviously I'm doing something that maybe your favorite bodybuilder isn't, and you should ask me questions, demand my time, and contribute when I do contribute. So to me, it has to go both ways. Like, I'm not going to be the guy that just slams everybody with content, because normally those people that slam you with content on a daily basis don't compete. They don't. That's how they're becoming famous. Whereas for me, if I was on the phone all day talking about where I'm at and who I am and what I'm doing and this and that, I'm sorry, man, that's a whole nother job outside of being Mr. Olympia. You know,
Yeah,
so I think I think I manage it pretty good. I give myself a B plus. You know, I think it's not an A, definitely not an A, but I think I've handled myself fairly well in certain scenarios. And, you know, if I were to compare myself to other people, I don't think there's too many other Mr. Olympias that can handle the pressure that I've had the entire time.
Yeah, for real.
Handle the ridicule and the scrutiny and continually be real. And yes, have I lashed out and have I responded to fans or critics or whatever? Absolutely, because that's me being me. That's not me being fake. I'm treating them as if they were standing right in front of me. So, yes, some people say, oh, you shouldn't do that. But look at the good that I've done with social media. I've promoted charity events that I've done through, you know, stuff like that. I've traveled the world and met many, many people. You know, I work with our United States military. I do appearances for them. I do local appearances here in town. You know, all those things have been captured. And I think that's been the positive, is that I didn't even get to tell you guys this, but because of social media, I would say, and being a champion, I actually had, no BS, a person from the Make-A-Wish Foundation come to the Meet the Olympians last year. And I was his wish.
Awesome.
Wow.
And that was like you talk about like trying to hold back tears and emotions, right? I'm meeting this young man, and you know, he's in his teens, right? So he's had, you know, leukemia and all this other stuff. You know, he's been through more doctors than you could ever imagine. And I'm like, because of me bodybuilding, gave me the opportunity to get better for myself, but then later inspire somebody else to want to come all the way to Vegas for the Mr. Olympia just to meet me. And this is stuff that you hear with, you know, major sports athletes. So right then and there, I was like, this is exactly where I need to be. And this is why I love being the champion so much, is that I get to touch lives that I never thought I would touch. And that is through the social media part. And those are things that sometimes I don't showcase on social media because, come on, no. That relationship was between me and him and his family. So there's certain things, I think that's the hard part too, is like, what do you show and what do you not show? Like, I just went 2 weeks ago to a children's hospital about 30 minutes away from my house. Did I put anything online? No. You know, like, now if they put something online, that's different, but I'm not going to do that. I ain't trying to get followers that way. I'm trying to get, you know, I would hope that people would assume that a Mr. Olympia like myself, knowing that I have a good look, you know, but also have some education behind me, and to know that, you know, I have a good enough heart to go out and provide for less fortunate, and want to engage with people that are, you know, suffering from different illnesses. So, you know, because that's what athletes do. I mean, I've been doing that since I played basketball in college. You know, you go to children's hospitals, you go to different arenas, you know, to meet with people that have nothing to do about your craft. So, you know, I think that's, to sum it all up with social media, you got the bad and the ugly, but you got some really cool stuff that I will always treasure for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I think those types of moments are the fruit and the true treasures of being a champion. You know, you get as much satisfaction out of going and giving back and making a difference in people's life in competition. So, man, take my hat off to you. I've always thought of you as a royal champion. You put some prestige around the title and you wear it with pride, bro. And I love what you do and how you represent it.
Yeah, for real, man.
Like I said, I mean, it's something that I think it's important to lead by example and to remind other people, like, hey, you know, anyone and I'll just say this for my own plug, but hey, anyone that go into next year's Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio, I put on a charity event for autism awareness, and it'll be my 7th year doing it. And any pros that are there that are not competing, I demand that you show up, because these kids and these families would love to meet you. And it's also great networking too, because you start meeting people outside of the sport of bodybuilding. Once they hear about you contributing, then they'll reciprocate and say, hey, what charities do you belong to? And then you may say, well, I don't really belong to. Next thing you know, someone's introducing to you another person who can help you either start a foundation or or maybe be an ambassador for something. You know, it's just really neat. And I think our industry is lacking that part, if you know what I mean, compared to other sports.
Yeah.
You know, we're very self-centered. We're extremely self-centered, and extremely. I mean, every day is about vanity and sin. You know, but you have to balance those selfies in the bathroom and bullshit out by saying, hey, who am I helping though? You know, and making yourself available to really help someone, and do it genuinely. If you don't know what you're talking about, even though you have a great body and stuff, if you don't know what you're talking about as a personal trainer or dietitian or prep coach, don't help them that way. Direct them with someone who is better than you and help them that way. You know, there's different ways of helping. And I think the part about this, even this conversation with you guys, is that you guys know me for years. My calling, yes, is to win show, you know, be the best I can be, try to be the best in the world. But the better part is what I can do with this that leaves an everlasting fire that will burn forever in people's hearts. I want their soul to be on fire, to go after their goals and their dreams and all this other things, because I get a lot of shit from people, but you always show up and you continually work hard, and you're willing to stare into the fear of adversity and all this other crap. You will succeed. It may not happen overnight, but you will get better. And I think that's where the triumph happens, you know, in bodybuilding, and how it can reach other people.
100%, brother, 100%.
Yeah, well said. Just off topic, man. What's going on with the Nuggets? That's my team as well.
Oh,
why are we in the final, man?
That's so funny. It's because we're too young, man. We're too young. You know, we got some good players, and you know, I'm happy that we've got some good guards. Unfortunately, we had injuries early on in the season. I'm excited to see them play next year. I tell you what, man, they got my money for next year, and also to see who ends up getting moved around, because this is a big off season for the NBA. You got 3 key players. You have 4 big time players. You have DeMarcus Cousins. You have Kawhi Leonard. You have Paul George. And, you have Chris Paul. And you also have this guy by the name of LeBron King James. So you have a lot of potential movement. So I'm concerned with the Nuggets as far as, like, do we try to take advantage of maybe not those players, but like some role players from another team? You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see it.
Have you been obviously been watching the finals, the Golden State Cavs?
I've got it on. I've got it on right now on my laptop, talking to you guys just with the volume on.
Sorry, man.
That's what when DJ said it was.
You
said it's postponed. I was like, the game's on, right? Phil's going to be watching the game.
I'm a ball player till I die. You guys know that. I'm always going to love basketball, but yeah, this is a crazy series. Kevin Durant is on fire right now. It's just like he's carrying Golden State right now, but in this game in particular. But I find it very. I have a hard time watching basketball sometimes, not because of me playing and stuff. It's just knowing the game well enough to ask yourself, why in the hell do things happen the way they do?
Yeah.
And it's just weird. You know, it's like, oh, why did you do that type of defense? Why did you do this? Oh man, you idiot! Why didn't you go to the basket instead of shooting, 3-point? Like all these other things. So I play armchair quarterback, probably similar to what people do to me, probably. In bodybuilding.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Phil. Like being the current champion and compared to former greats, what's your position on the LeBron Jordan for the GOAT? Because I grew up in that Jordan era.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we realize is you side with who you grew up with, And if you grew up in that era and he changed your life in some way, whether it be buying the shoes or just walking around, shooting the basketball with your tongue hanging out, all these other things, that changes your life. You got people that you go in any sport, it's like that. You got people that are Ali fans, and then you got people that are, Roy Jones Jr. or Mayweather fans. You got people that are, Joe Louis fans, like old school. Like everybody has their favorite. And I think in this conversation, I don't think we've seen another person like LeBron play with as many different teams as he has, like meaning different players on those Cavs teams and on those Heath
different
teams.
Rosters. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
different
A lot
rosters.
of variation.
Yeah, so I don't think people understand that. It's not that the players around him suck. It's the fact that it takes a long time to get rhythm against other teams who have been established for, years. So I tip my hat off to him. And I also tip my hat off to him in a way that he's very professional. He doesn't throw his teammates under the bus.
Yeah.
And I think Jordan had it. Jordan had the best coach, Phil Jackson. He had he had a Hall of Famer on his team. And Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Hall of Famer. This guy was Mr. Consistent. You had Dennis Rodman, Hall of Famer. You had Tony Kukoc. You had Bill Wellington. You had Stacey King. You had a lot of players, man.
Yeah.
Like, you had Horace Grant. Like you did not go without players. The difference, the deciding factor is not the 6 rings. I don't think it's the 6 rings. I think it's the fact that Jordan was, all NBA, both offense and defensive team. He was all defense every year he was in the league. Yeah. And I don't think people realize that. Maybe LeBron's getting the shaft in a way for defense because he does get a lot of steals and block shots or deflections. But Jordan, the reason why he's the GOAT is because back when there was hand checking, he still could put up 50 points.
Prevail. Yeah.
You can't even breathe on someone in the NBA right now.
It's a foul.
It's a foul. Remember the back in the day where these guys would blow the basket and you swear they're about to fight, and sometimes they would, right? And then you're like, who's getting thrown out the game? No one got thrown out the game.
Old school Pistons and New York Knicks, and he got beaten up.
Yeah, so I think for LeBron to be in that conversation, I think it's great. But his legacy is not tarnished either way. If he wins this series, this month or not, he's still going to be, in my opinion, top 3 dead or alive, no matter what happens. From I'll probably say that the next 30 years, because he is a specimen. What he's doing in his 15th season has everybody scratching their heads. They're like, wait a minute, this guy is jumping the same, and actually has a 3-point shot and a couple different moves going to the basket. He's still learning. So it's like unreal. But I definitely think he's earned the right to be amongst the greats. No question.
Agreed, man. Agreed. It's funny, we were in the US when he signed with Miami Heat, and I actually bought a top, James top.
A Miami Heat top. Yeah.
And I'm walking through the airport in Miami, and some guys behind me are like, hey, man, fuck you. And I was like, who, me? Yeah, you, man. You think James blah, 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 this and that? And I was like, oh, my God. I've heard about this in the media, but to experience it, people were pissed. It was crazy.
Yeah, they were.
That was in LA airport.
Yeah, that was LA.
You bought the top
LA.
of Miami, and we went back to LA, and people were like booing you.
Yeah, so they're booing, and they're not even a Cleveland fan.
It's crazy.
They're coming up to Joe booing him, like wanting to punch on and stuff.
Like as if you had anything to do with his decision.
Exactly, man.
And that's where it gets funny. Where I think people, and I don't want to sound like a downer right now, but I think a lot of people are dealing with their own mental and emotional pain that they just decide to argue about anything and everything. Look, you bought a jersey. That has nothing to do with anyone's life.
I hope they're listening right now to this.
Bro, when we were there, people were burning them. Remember, people were burning jerseys and stuff. It was crazy.
When I saw that, I was thinking to myself, okay, does anybody remember how much money he raised for the Boys and Girls Club that day? No, they don't. It was $1 million.
Yeah.
He generated over $1 million that day. He should have a statue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just funny how we get so caught up in, oh well, he should do that anyway. It's like, no, dude. Like, first of all, he has the right to work wherever he wants to in the event a trade is available or free agency. That's why it's called free agency. You're not a slave. He gave him 7 years. He got where he wanted to go, or as far as he could, and he decided to go to Miami. And it's funny? Think of it like this, guys. He never went to college, right?
That's right.
And maybe this was college for him, going away from home.
Yeah, true.
Going away from Ohio for the first time in his life, seriously living in a big time city like Miami. I mean, come on, Cleveland or Miami. You're going to go to Miami. And this was like a college experience for him. He got to play with his friend Dwayne Wade, grow a great relationship with him, and a lifelong friendship, and made history. He by winning a championship, by winning 2. So I just think he did what he had to do, and then he came back and he won for the Cavs. I mean, there's nothing anyone can say to this man ever again, like ever. And if anyone has, and if he leaves Cleveland, what they should do is build a freaking statue, and they should all applaud him for doing what he's done. Because yeah, I mean, look, he came back to give you something.
To give back, yeah, 100%. Unfinished business.
He didn't owe you a championship. They haven't had a championship in over 50 damn years before he did it.
That's right.
So that's where I put LeBron up there amongst all athletes. And people say, "Oh, you're a LeBron James fan, you kiss his ass," and I'm like, "No, dude, I just it's so funny, right?
You understand it, you recognize it."
He's dealing with the same shit I deal with. When he said not 1, not 2, not 3, talking about championships when he was with Miami, people thought he was nuts. Well, at least he had a goal. And you know what? He's been in how many consecutive NBA finals? I think 6 or 7. So
I think this is the 8th one. This year's 8th.
Oh, so this is the 8th one. So I mean, come on, like, who else has done that? Like, maybe hey, he may not have won championships in a row like that, but he's still going to the finals. So
to the finals. I
think the way he's been able to handle stuff has actually taught me that I'm not alone in this. And now I kind of just shrug my shoulders if someone says something crazy. It's never to my face, right? It's always online. So if I don't look at it, I don't see it. But hey, Juro, don't worry, brother. I've had people say fuck Phil Heath for a long time. So. At least they didn't know your name, man. Like, I've had people say much, much worse.
Yeah, it's funny, bro. I remember once I was talking to Phil on social media, and some dude, a random dude's like, "Fuck DJ, your shit's weak," and Phil goes to him, "Hey, bro, I know DJ, your shit's weak." And I was like, "Fuck, that was funny." That was crazy. But you're right, man. These are people hiding behind a keyboard, thinking they're tough shit, and they're gonna fucking influence people's lives with their nothingness. At the end of the day, they're nothing.
It's just like I said. I mean, it's the bad part about it. And, it's funny because someone said, "Oh, you can't let these people get to you." And I'm thinking to myself, you should say this out loud. Like, because if it got to me, why would I have championships? You think it's easy winning the Olympia? Like,
fuck no.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like when someone says, "Oh, you shouldn't pay attention." Sometimes people try to give advice to people that, you know what I mean? Like, some people should just be quiet, essentially. Yeah. So, and sometimes they mean well. They're basically saying don't give them your energy. But I could be on the fucking toilet, writing back. What I mean? Maybe I got a little time, but I'll be honest. I mean, if people would allow me to be me more, they would see how genuinely funny my ass is. Like, come on, us three, we've had so much fun on the road talking
Fucking
shit.
A.
This
Yeah.
and that. And if people knew, like, the jokes and stuff like that, they would be like, oh my God, this guy is hilarious. This guy should maybe even be on TV with this, because I'm just happy to do what I do. But let's be honest. I mean, when it comes to competition, I'm going to say that I'm easily top 3 most dangerous competitors on the bodybuilding stage, because I'm willing to look you in the eye and say, I will bet my house and everything I own in it that I will win, and you won't bet the same and mean it, because you know that I'm better.
Fuck yeah.
And people get mad, but then I get those fans that understand deeper what I'm saying, and those same people are the ones that have been riding with me from day one and understand, like, hell yeah, that's having supreme confidence. Only a confident man who's put in the time and effort and has proven it can talk like that. He can say whatever he wants, because no one has prevented it from happening. So, it's just interesting. But like I said, overall, the social media stuff, you just try to engage when you can. I encourage all my fans, or even followers, or people that just ghost followers. You guys got ghost followers too, right? Where they don't actually follow you, but the fact that you're a public profile, they'll search for you.
Yeah. Joe's got lots of those, bro, from India.
India and
I'm
Bangladesh.
I'm sure. It's not, it's funny. It's not hard, right? Like, you can get a ton of these type of people from all over the world. And that goes to show that it's social media is very powerful, because if they can believe a drama, they should learn to believe what comes out the horse's mouth more, right? So, I'm getting ready for Olympia. Obviously, I'm taking a big commitment to make sure that, I post here and there. I posted a picture the other day of me being in the gym, and I know it freaked some people out, probably pissed some other people off. But, I
Bro, that one in the red top, that freaked me out. That was like, what the fuck?
Man, I've seen plenty of photos of you, Phil, that are freaky, bro. Like, firstly, anyone that knows me, that know that I have a friendship with yourself. Yeah, you're a bodybuilding champion, but it's the Phil Heath, the person, that I'm attracted to. It's a friendship that we built, you, me, and Juro. That you're our friend. That personality to you is my friend. You know what I mean? It's not Phil Heath, the bodybuilder. That's like a bonus. Firstly, to just say that, but people say to me, I've been over the last 9-10 Olympias. I've seen you win all yours, and there's been a couple of shows where they said, how close was it? I said, well, Phil got first, second, and third, and everybody else played after that. Like, I refer to you as an alien, bro. Like, honestly, bro, you're not even human, man. The 3-dimensional, the proportions, it's just everything, man. It's just like, it's off this planet, to be honest.
Well, I appreciate it. I think for those people listening that are new to this, or maybe intermediate, they should realize the way that I'm not going to go ahead and tell people how they should judge shows, but what I am going to say is, try looking at me with those same lenses as you do everybody else, or try using the lens that you use on me, the microscope that you use critiquing me, and use that on your other favorite guy. And usually that's how you'll realize that that's where I won, right? And I had to explain that to some people at seminars, because I wasn't there to debate. I was just like, hey, I think you're just looking at me through a different lens than those other guys. And they're like, I guess I never thought of it like that. And I'm like, yes. The reason why they critique LeBron James the way they do is because they're looking at him through the lens of Jordan. Right?
Yep.
If they use that same lens on Kevin Durant or Steph Curry or all these other guys, it would be like no contest. It would be like, oh man, Jordan's way better, way better, right?
Yeah.
So when you say, okay, well, let's use the Phil Heath lens on the second place guy or the third place guy or the 10th place guy, then they'd be like, oh, now it makes more sense. But see, these are judges that understand that process, and they know not how to get skewed. So I'd say, I always tell the judges, like, props to you guys for figuring this out. because it can't be always easy to see some of the best in the world and have to figure that out. And stick to the protocol, which is they're not going online looking at pictures and video and trying to use an eraser for their scores, you know. So it's just funny, you know. It's like, no, these are real professional judges. Like, they know what the fuck they're talking about.
And plus, like, when I've been to events, and luckily I've been in first, second row, man, it's like day and night watching on TV or online. Like, it's so obvious, the difference, and that's what people don't
Live.
get.
Yeah,
live.
what do you guys think of that? Like, because I've been really curious to ask. Like, you find it much better, obviously, being there live, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because you see, like, you know, I guess since we're on this podcast and you guys are my boys, I'm going to let you guys know, but also the fans, the world, know something. So, you know, you always get hit with, you know, what would you want to see if you could come back to life? You know, you die, you know, but you get a chance to just come back for just a little bit. What would you want to do? And I said, well, outside the obvious, you know, see people that I would want to see in this net, but, you know, maybe drive a car really fast. I don't know. But I want to go see myself at every bodybuilding show I ever competed in, sitting in the audience, because I want to be able to see the same shit everybody else saw, not online, you know, not through a photograph.
Well,
because it's different. Because I know it's different because I see these guys backstage and on stage, and I think they're fucking amazing. You know, I mean, just fucking amazing, right? And then you're like, do I look like that? You know, but you can't see yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like weird, you know, because people are like, I think that's sometimes why some bodybuilders, whether it be pro or amateur, are like, hey, did I look good? Did I deserve the win? Did I look good? It's because they can't see themselves. They see themselves in the mirror so much, but on stage you can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus when someone tells
I can
you,
relate to that.
yeah, when someone tells you, guess what, man, your back, you know, was popping and, you know, was so shredded, you and you're like, really? Is that how you felt? It's hard to put in words.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where, I mean, obviously you train, you know, for it, and all I have are my videos and my pictures, and you know, to go by. And, you know, I mean, it's bittersweet to know that, like, damn, dude, like, I have to, you know, get the advice from the people in my corner to say, hey, look, this is what you look like. This is what you need to, you know, try to improve on, or this or that. And, but it's also the fun thing too, because being on stage, I know what's going to happen. I'm a believer in seeing the future in certain things. If you think about it long enough, I know how the crowd reacts every year. They're going to be very quiet when I walk out. They're going to be extremely quiet until I hit that first or second pose, and then they're going to freak the fuck out, and then they're going to get silent again, and then I'm going to hit some more poses. Then I'm going to turn my ass around, and then they're going to start cheering again, and then they're going to keep going. Because they're gonna accept the fact that I did my damn job, and that's that. I think that's the other thing I have to go against, right? It's like, you know, you got fans that rooted for you to win Mr. Olympia, and then now that you won like a third one, they want to go against you because they feel like, oh, the underdog syndrome. And
It's
I
funny,
get that.
isn't it? It's fucking bizarre.
But it's very bizarre. But I mean, I've seen it. You know, I've even heard my. Yeah, it happens, man. I hear my parents say it all the time, like in other sports. I would say, hey, so who are you guys going for in the World Series or the Super Bowl? Oh, I don't care, but maybe this team because they never won before. And I go, why the hell does that even matter?
Yeah.
And then, you know, but then I realize if they don't have a horse in the race, why do they care anyway, right? But if you have a horse in the race, right, if you know the person competing, you got to root for them, man.
You got a connection. Yeah,
you got to. So I've had friends, and I've had friends go away, and that's a whole nother side of the sport, being on top. That you go in wanting to be the cool kid at school, you finally become that, and then you turn around and you realize you may not relate to everybody. and they may not be able to relate to you, and maybe they're scared to come up to you and ask you. But I tell you what, I mean, I have no issues with anyone on tour, and most of them have my phone number and stuff like that, so they could get a hold of me if they ever needed help with contracts or, you know, guest posings. Hey, is this promoter cool or not, or whatever? Because at the end of the day, man, I'm here just as a fan too. You know, I want people to succeed. But yeah, that the Olympia, man, it's just I know what's going to happen. I train for this shit, and I know, like, after I get off the phone with you guys, I'm going to go to the gym and probably post up another picture. And, you know, I'm going to really enjoy this one because I deserve to enjoy the rest of this career. I need to have those moments that when I'm done, I can look back and see it in my face that I really enjoyed it. I mean, as tough as it was, I really freaking enjoyed this shit. And I enjoyed the competitiveness with the other guys, because I'm going to take some credit here. I definitely believe that I've raised everybody's game level up. Whether you're
No doubt, bro.
15th place, whether you're 15th or 10th or 5th, or, I mean, at the end of the day, no one even heard of William Bonac until I mentioned him like 4 years ago at the Olympia. I was the one that mentioned his name and drew attention to him, because I study everyone. So I was like, man, this guy, y'all need to worry about this dude, because he's like legit, like ready to kick y'all ass. Y'all worrying about me. This guy's about to come and take your spot. And look what he's done. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
yeah.
You know, in order to be a champion, you have to not just focus on yourself. You do have to focus on others, so you know what their strengths and weaknesses are, and you plan accordingly. That doesn't mean that you lose sleep. It just means that you're held accountable. It's like, hey, I could be feeling like shit right now. Well, you know, Ramy and Dexter and everybody else is in the gym training twice as hard. Okay, well then I can't let that happen. So, you know, those are those little things that I don't think people register, because it's like the you know how they talk about icebergs and shit, like, you know, the iceberg represents what you see represents like success, but what's underneath is the stuff you don't see, which is the pain, the sacrifice, the dedication. That's where, going back to our social media discussion, that's where that's where things get messed up in translation, is because they don't see that part. So they just assume, oh, he's the gift, man. Like, he just looks at weights and he grows, dude. Like, he doesn't even lift heavy and this and that and the other. It's like, oh man, like, I don't know, man. You're just like, oh yeah, you just conceded the fact that I was just born this way and I could just do whatever I want. I was like, shit. If that was the case, I'd be eating fried chicken and fish and chips every day, you know?
All day.
You know, I'd be eating fried all day, eat fried food all day. You'll know when I retire, because I'll be eating fried food all day.
Walking around at 350 pounds and
all day,
telling everyone to get fucked.
Yeah.
Okay, Phil, at the last show, when you won your last Mr Olympia, the trophy was presented to you by The Rock, man. How was that?
It was, I'll be honest, man, it was.
Hey yo, check it, the hour power. POD cast is upon your ass. Spitting on the mic is the NZ boss, and his homie DJ NZ the Oz. Yeah, don't twitch, don't snitch, don't switch. Just open up your senses. And now listen.